I think the main point for people to take away is really this is a validation of Microsoft's broader cloud strategy. While this is obviously a big deal, I think what it really shows people is that Microsoft can now compete for deals of this size, whereas a couple of years ago, I don't think that would have been the case. I also think a lot of the things that Microsoft is saying around hybrid cloud and a lot of their initiatives around that, even the acquisition of GitHub, I think all sort of brings us to this date where you have them winning a bigger deal. And you see it in the Azure numbers. Azure is obviously growing at 59% last quarter, and they are gaining market share from Amazon on a sort of growth basis. So in general, as an investor, what you want to take away is this is a great validation of what they've been saying and how they've been trying to execute against their broader cloud strategy.
And I think for Amazon, the question, Alex, is are they at a point now where they are, in fact, losing share, that they might have to compete on price, and the growth of AWS may not be as vibrant, or it may never be as vibrant as it once was, sub 40% growth?
I mean, we've seen the growth slowing, but still Amazon has a lot of headspace beyond Microsoft number 2, Google Cloud number 3 in the space. I mean, I think the one part about the Jedi versus the difference about the general kind of AWS or Azure business is this idea of a network effect of these kind of app ecosystems, right? So that means that there's a winner-take-all dynamic if you look at an AWS or an Azure. And Amazon's still the clear leader in that. I think the DoD puts less of an emphasis on the value coming from this third-party app ecosystem, which wasn't factored in as much as it might be from a traditional business or commercial customer.
Mm-hmm. There is a possibility that Amazon could contest this decision that the DoD has made, alleging potentially that President Trump had a hand in tipping the decision towards Microsoft. Does that make you concerned as an investor in Amazon, Alex, that Amazon has gotten itself tied up into this political fray and is losing business as a result of it?
Potentially. I think the regulatory concerns with Amazon are legitimate when you look at how they treat third-party sellers on the marketplace. The Department of Justice and FTC have started to look into this more, as well as the EU. I think particularly for the AWS Azure battle, though, I'd say less so from a kind of political bias, in the sense that in the DoD's perspective, it's better to have two strong cloud service providers. The NSA contracted with Amazon last year. So it's better to have two strong players rather than be beholden to only Amazon in the cloud storage space.
Kirk, what does this do to the competition between the two in the cloud? Does it legitimize Microsoft in a way that it needed to be?
I'm not sure it legitimizes them any more so than the growth over the last couple of years has already helped legitimize them. I think to the earlier speaker's comments, this is a growing pie. So this isn't mutually exclusive. There's thousands of big contracts per year between these two companies. And really, they're the leaders right now in the broader public cloud space. So I think it helps. It's a nice feather in the cap for the Microsoft team. Again, I don't think this is a deal that they might have been in position to win a couple of years ago. But as you think about the broader public cloud opportunity, there's going to be more than one winner, and Microsoft and AWS both are in good position. And I think for Microsoft coming at the market, whereas you were a very small portion of the overall market, you're now getting to be about half the size of AWS. It helps in terms of making sure that people think about you as these big deals come to market. Not that I think they would leave Microsoft out necessarily, but I definitely think it helps sort of just prove again it's sort of a validation of the broader cloud strategy.
Kirk, it's funny you say that because so you're saying Microsoft's still about half the size of Amazon in this business. At some point, we had talked previously about the kind of antitrust or monopoly concerns around Amazon having too much of the pie here. What happens if Microsoft ultimately does too well?
I don't see that happening. I think the enterprise software market in general is a very competitive space. Most businesses aren't going to sole source enterprise software in a big way. This has been a very fragmented market historically, even before the move to the cloud. So while I think in the cloud world you will have fewer vendors just because the need to scale puts more pressure on the infrastructure spend for those vendors, but I don't foresee that being a real issue for Microsoft anytime soon.
Last question, Kirk. Do you think Microsoft won this deal because Amazon is tied up in some of these political concerns, whether it be regulatory or a tiff with Donald Trump or the latest Capital One hack, questioning the safety of its cloud?
I couldn't speak to any of the political ramifications
Sure.
that went into this, but I would tell you Microsoft's scalability, the infrastructure build out it's had over the last few years has made it a valid, or it was always going to be a valid number two or a choice for someone to make. So I don't know how to sort of weigh in on some of the political angles of that.
Well, you must be glad that Satya Nadella doesn't own the Washington Post.
that helps for sure.